Welcome to our online training course, Planning Lean Plant Layouts with SLP, brought to you by the University of Kansas Professional Education. Now, SLP stands for Systematic Layout Planning, and that's the method that we're going to be using. That'll be the vehicle for our learning. I'm your presenter. My name is Lee Hales. I'm president of Richard Muther and Associates and co-author of the 4th edition of the textbook on systematic layout planning. Muther was the originator of this method many years ago, and it'll be my pleasure to teach it to you in this series. You should have a handout that you've downloaded, and we're going to go through that, so follow me on the screen. We're in the introduction at this point. Just by way of introduction about myself, there's a bio there. Should sound pretty good because I wrote it myself. But here's what I'd like for you to think about or know about me personally. First of all, I am a consultant, industrial engineer, and I work on projects. That's what I do for a living. So I'm sharing with you what I believe are very practical methods that we use day to day, I've used for many years. But I'd like for you to know I am a product of the methodology that I'm teaching you in this series. I started out as a draftsman many years ago, decades ago, and I learned this method, and then I was able to go out on projects and actually become a layout and eventually a facilities planner using what I learned really starting in the course that you're about to take. So that's probably the most important thing to know about me. There's a page in there about Richard Muther and Associates. Don't want to sit here and advertise, so I'm not going to say much. You can certainly research that more on your own if you wish. I will say Muther, and I did, was the originator of the SLP method. And just as a minor point of history, we've been teaching SLP at the University of Kansas for decades. The first course in this material was about 1960, so you're talking about one of the longest running continuing education programs around, and one of the very long running relationships between us and the University of Kansas. I also happen to be a Kansas Jayhawk, so very proud to be here presenting this material for KU. We are a consulting firm, and so as I mentioned, what we're trying to do here in this course is share with you methods that we use on projects, procedures that we use, tools that we use, and try to make them yours so that you can do likewise on your projects. You'll see here the outline. This is a 24-session online course. The first session we're going to call Fundamentals, and we'll be very basic there. When you come to a session here, each session has its own handout, so you want to be sure that you have that in a place where you can follow along. There's a format to the handouts. The slide that you will see on the screen, the image on the screen is the presentation slide, and then off to the left-hand side are main points about that slide, and they're written there for you. Now, we do that for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's no script to this, so we don't present it the same way every time. There are points that we like to make about each slide, just in case we forget, or we spin it a little bit different way with a different example and forget something. It's there. So you've got the main points that we should have made if we taught it a little differently in a particular outing. The other reason that's there is so that you can teach others. If you want to explain to others what you've learned or teach it to them, the main points that you should be making about that particular image, presentation image, they're right there for you. And then the third panel here is a place, if you've printed this out, that you can take notes, and I hope that you will, that we will stimulate your thinking, cause you to make a mental, well, not just a mental note, an actual written note to say, okay, hey, we need to go look at this or that or the other. We're going to start with a couple of exercises. Before we we introduce the full SLP method, which is a very comprehensive set of procedures. I'm calling this learn by doing. I want to take you through a couple exercises, very simple exercises. We can do them on a small sheet of paper in front of us. I'll ask you to pick up a pencil and follow along and do what I show you on the screen, and maybe wrestle with a little of it on your own. And I think that is the most effective way to learn some of the unique aspects of SLP, is just to jump right in and do it and learn it just by exercise. Then we'll stand back and we'll look at the full method. It's got phases, it's got some procedures, and there are key documents. The next 12 or so sessions go in detail inside the various steps of SLP. And then we're going to reinforce that learning with a case exercise. That is in session 18. It looks like one session sort of equal to the others. It's actually fairly long. You probably, given that you're learning this online, you'll probably stop in the middle of that because it'll run a couple hours at least. And you're actually going to do a layout in that session. I'm going to ask you to lay out a plant at a small scale, but it's a reasonable case exercise problem to reinforce your learning. Now, it's a block layout, so you won't be dealing with specific pieces of equipment. And we've learned over the years that the best way to learn this procedure and methods are for us to teach it to you using blocks. When we show detailed equipment and machinery, people are constantly looking at that, trying to understand what it is that they're actually seeing, and you miss the larger issue of the procedure. So it's easier to learn a procedure when we're just talking about blocks. We will have a session, a fairly long session, where we look at equipment layout. We're calling it department, small area, workplace layouts using SLP. And I will show you on screen. We'll walk through a kind of a continuation of this block layout to go inside a department and look at equipment layout. So we will address that, and we will speak to the issues that you get into in equipment layout, but generally we'll be teaching the SLP method through the medium of block planning. Along the way, we're going to do exercises, as I mentioned, very soon, early in this, but there are other worksheets, and then there are the case problem that I mentioned, the large one. And when you come to those, you're going to be asked to draw things. This will be the first one that we do. We're going to draw this diagram together, and we'll color it. There will be a layout that you need to do. That's just one of them. Actually, you'll do a couple layouts. When you're doing that, you'll be using a die-cut plastic ruler that should have come with your sign up here. If you didn't get that, or somehow you're watching this after the fact and that got lost, or you don't have it, any straight edge will do. So don't get too worried about that. There was a colored pencil kit, or is a colored pencil kit that you should have. Again, if you don't have that, any standard set of red, yellow, green, blue, brown, I think those are the ones that we need. You can get through this coloring exercise with any standard collection of colors that you may have around. So other kinds of things that we'll do, we're going to have some fill in the blanks exercises. We're going to have discussion problems where you write an answer, and then I'll share with you sort of my instructor's answer to that. So anytime we have one of these sheets where you're supposed to write on it or do something, that's in a kit. And that's the reason we did that, is you're getting hundreds of pages of handouts here. And even with two-sided copying, some of you may say, gee, that's just too much, I'm not going to do that. So, and those sheets are embedded in a large document, so we thought, okay, let's pull them out and give them to you so they're a little more accessible for you to work with. Also, a third document file that you should have received by now has the solutions to each of these exercises and case problems. So each time we do something together, I'm going to show an answer on the screen. I want you to have a copy of that answer. And those are numbered in a way that you can marry them up with your handouts. As we go through, you're going to see forms. There's a whole number of working forms in this method, a collection of them, and those are available on the website. The handout has a PDF, what would be a paper copy if you printed it, but most of you would rather have this in soft copy. These are all built in Microsoft Excel, and they're available to you on the website, no charge. You will be asked to register, but once you've done that, you bookmark the page. And anytime on projects you want to go back and pick a form as a thing that you could use, it's there for you. In fact, you might say that these sessions are designed to teach these tools, how to use them, when to use them, and so you obviously want to be able to go and get them for yourself. So 24 sessions. If you stay with us, I think you're going to stay with us if you signed up and you want your certificate. But when you get to the bottom of this, session 24, we're going to talk about how do you plan and manage layout planning projects using what you've learned. And my goal as your instructor is to equip you to do that, to be able to lead a project with confidence, plan it out, manage it through to a successful conclusion. That's the set of skills that I really want to impart to you in this training. Now, there are some supplemental readings married up with each session. There's a chapter in the text, and I'll tell you about those books. You should have received the books with your sign up. Now, on this text, you can get it in soft copy at no charge on the website. If you wanted a hard copy, you can order it from the publisher if you did not receive it. And the simplified or short form of SLP, we do not have a soft copy of that. So if you want that one, you're going to have to order it. Let me just move off screen here and just show you. This text is about a 400-page, very thorough textbook on the subject of systematic layout planning, but also the broader subject of layout planning in general. The simplified booklet is very, very thin. It's like 40 pages. So it's a 10% a boiled down version for small projects, but taken together, they're a good companion resource for things that you might want to be working on. So at the end of each session, I'll be telling you what the supplemental reading is. It's optional, you know. I believe our handouts are very thorough, but I did want you to be aware that there's more depth in these documents here. There's also a plastic ruler that you've already seen it. If you don't have that, if somehow you're watching this and that didn't make it to you, don't obsess over that. Any straight edge will do for what we want to do. Okay, let's begin.